Hi guys! So I'm back with another video. Okay. So what I wanted to kind of discuss today is dryness as it relates to your hair, right? So just a few housekeeping things to do with hair and dryness. I used to think that natural hair should have this kind of coarse brass feeling, like that's what I thought. And my daughter's hair doesn't feel like that, but I kind of used to say to myself, oh, she's a baby, her hair is so virgin, it's not had anything but shampoo and conditioner in it from birth, and oil, like coconut oil, when she was a baby. But that's probably why her hair is still so soft versus mine. Ooh, was I wrong? Okay. And I learned that once I changed my regimen, and my regimen was directly tied to my hair porosity. So to start out this video, I want to say that those two things, regimen, hair porosity, they have to work hand in hand. And I'm going to give you a quick example. If you have high porosity hair, which most people color treated hair, they have high porosity hair. Have you ever seen a sponge that sits in water and it kind of has that, when a sponge is soaked in water, that is how high porosity hair tends to look, right? As soon as water touches it, it kind of has that soaked up look. That's because your cuticles are open. It's easy for water to get in. Once the water is running, it will stay in, but when you shut the water off, it runs right back out. So the issue that most people with high porosity have is keeping that water in. So that is why it's usually good for them to use an oil, because oils are sealants and it will seal the cuticles for them. Also, cold water will seal the cuticles for them. So on the other hand, with low porosity, you will have the water on and it takes forever for the water to get in. Even when I wash my hair, sometimes there are areas where it just doesn't feel 100% saturated with water. But once the water gets in, it's going to stay in there because the cuticles are already so tightly packed, or in some cases some of the cuticles are already shut, that the moisture can't get in. And with moisture I mean water. So you want to find a regimen, you want to find products that complement your hair porosity. So you wouldn't want to get a product, if you're low porosity, that is a butter or a cream that's heavily oil based, because all you're doing is just, as soon as you put that on your hair, you're shutting out everything else that could possibly go in. If you're using it as your last step, then it might be beneficial, but as your first step, like in a leave-in conditioner, you don't want your leave-in conditioner to be one of those very, very thick oil-based leave-in conditioners. You want the first ingredient, or the first 2-3 ingredients, to be water, glycerin, something that can really penetrate the cuticle and get in there for a low porosity person. So that's one thing to think about. The next thing to think about to do with dryness is deep conditioning. Are you deep conditioning not just willy-nilly, but are you using some form of heat? It's safe to use a hooded dryer with deep conditioning. It's not going to give you any heat damage, or it shouldn't give you any heat damage, because it's not direct heat. It's not heat that is like 400 something degrees that is being directly placed on your hair. You can walk around for a couple hours. Your own body heat is also good, but obviously any mechanism that gives heat is gonna be the quickest and most foolproof way than your own body, because with your body it's gonna take a longer time. And if you don't have time to spare, then you definitely want to use the most time-friendly methodology. Steamers are possibly number one. Steamers are better than hooded dryers, based on what I've read and what I have seen myself. I got a Khrys, which is very, very Khrys, it really needs its own episode, but Khrys are very, 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 very beneficial and helpful, right? But build up can lead to dryness, and let's just speak about that a little bit more. Silicones are like marijuana, okay? They give you a temporary high. You put it in, and as you moisten, a lot of these other products some of them have silicone in it. And let me double check the Aussie Moist. any conditioner that has silicone in it is going to give you a temporary feeling of moisture. Your hair is going to feel great. It's going to feel great for probably 2-3 days. Silicones are also good to use in humidity because it helps to block humidity. Silicones are also good to use in the cold weather time because it also helps to keep the moisture in because it's blocking out humidity, right? But at the same time, once the silicone has worn off, your hair is going to feel dry. That's what silicones do. They give that temporary feeling, and once it wears off in a couple of days, your hair is gonna feel dry. So there's nothing wrong with, you know, cycling and recycling and cycling and recycling the use of silicone, but you have to get rid of the silicone before you put it back on, or you're gonna have tremendous buildup. Because again, silicone cannot be removed with just water alone. You have to use a sulfate shampoo. So when using a sulfate shampoo, you know, you just have to be mindful of the fact your hair is going to be very, very dry, and your hair is going to be very, very vulnerable at that point in time, especially if you use it a lot. So, you know, you want to use a sulfate shampoo on the time, probably once a month, and then on the other times you can probably wash with a clarifying shampoo, but just try to condition or deep condition, even if it's 5-10 minutes every time you shampoo, because you want to really, really replenish as much moisture levels as possible in your hair. So just, and the last factor I want to mention that can contribute to your hair feeling dry is exposure, your hair exposure to different materials. Like, do you sleep on a cotton pillowcase? Do you sleep on a satin pillowcase? Do you always wear, you know, shirts or blouses that have high collars? What's the material there? Do you always wear a hat? What's the material of the hat? Is the hat lined? Those type of things, because, you know, something as simple as sleeping on a cotton pillowcase, cotton is going to draw moisture out of your hair. Satin kind of helps to replenish.
Let me just.
Why you had to touch it?
Why you ponytail to the?
Because I want it like this. It's cute.
Not behind camera.
Oh, you can't imagine someone that.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so that's just something to look into. Anyway,
This is a heart right away. Okay. That's my.
sharing a lot. Right before my battery dies. Thank you.
Oh.
Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will come with another topic soon, and the next topic will be my favorites for low porosity hair. Favorite shampoos, favorite deep conditioners, and favorite conditioners and stylers.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.